We're about to watch a video detailing how AI will impact the job market. Let's see what people think.
Research suggests that 7 in 10 workers are worried about their jobs and think AI will lead to widespread unemployment. Are they right to be worried?
No, are they right? 2 to 3 years, some sectors will see 20-30% unemployment, unheard of numbers, really. But that's not a challenge of AI. That's a challenge of a choice of the capitalists who run businesses that will choose to reduce cost by asking people to leave, rather than increase the overall intelligence of an organization by empowering people with AI and technology to make people do more.
But is it not unrealistic to expect companies not to use AI to save money and improve the bottom line at the end of the day?
So the idea of saving money in itself is actually a very complex idea, because at an individual level, every organization wants to save money. But if every organization in the UK or anywhere in the world would save money by laying people off, you're wiping out the consumption side of GDP. And when you do that, what ends up happening is that people will not have the purchasing power to even buy what you're making with
because
AI.
they won't have the income.
Because they won't have the income. And so, in a very interesting way, in a very individualistic level, a company may benefit from laying off people, but for the economy at large, it's actually quite risky for the economy.
So Victor, tell us about you then, because you have a company that you basically, tell me if I get this wrong, but you basically employ actors to let you use their face and their voice, I imagine, to create training videos and that kind of thing. So they give their consent, but obviously that then means they don't have a job with you after that. They've just got that one. Job losses. Are you as worried as Mo?
I think we'll definitely see displacement of jobs.
Does that mean losses?
I think it depends on the timeline that we're talking about. I think if we look at a 3, 5, 10-year timeline, I think we will find things to do. I think work will change. I don't subscribe to the idea that businesses will just save costs. I think on the contrary, what we're seeing right now is that businesses will develop more products. Humans will change what they do. I think a lot of the busy work that we do today, we can probably replace with AI. But I tend to think that great companies today consist of great people, and I think in 5 or 10 years, great companies will still consist of great people. If you go back 50 years in time, and you told everyone that most people's job would be sitting at a desk and looking into a screen, no one would believe you, right? We've gone through this progression many times in history before, and there will for sure be displacement and disruption, I think. But I'm very optimistic that humans will find ways to play status games. We will do much more than we could before, and I think there'll be a lot of new jobs in the future. And I actually think that when you look at what is most valuable in society, it is generally what is the most scarce. And what's about to happen right now is that what has been very scarce, which is software development, numerical jobs, analytical jobs, that will be much easier to do with technology. And I think the value of human relations and human connection is going to go up very, very significantly. For a consumer to talk to a human, or business to talk to a human, I think that'll be much more valuable in a year or two.
Because it's not, we end up talking to chatbots a lot, don't we? So you think we're going to get less of that? Because at the moment it feels like we're getting more of that.
I think we'll get more of that, but I think the value of the human in the loop, I think, will increase. But it won't be responding to if your package is on the way. It will be something that's more valuable, more creative than that.
Okay, we've got a few hands up already. Let's hear the man in the white T-shirt in the middle.
I'm hedging my bets personally, purely because, people like Sam Altman came out very recently in the past few days, and he did say predictions that he previously made around job losses and things, he's kind of rolling back on them. So it feels as though we're clearly going through a massive period of change and there's lots of uncertainty. But it feels as though, the ink isn't dry yet. There's still kind of like decisions to be made on where the future goes and, whether there are as big a job losses as they say.
Well, there are as you know, when you come along and be part of our audience, we talk to you at some length about your experiences as well as your politics and everything else. And there's a few people that I particularly wanted to talk to. So Richard Gagan, you're here at the front. So we're talking about job losses. And there's also been a report out today about young people not in education, employment or training, quite how bad the job market is. So what's your experience?
Yeah, so I just graduated like 2 weeks ago with a degree in computer science, and I've been specifically applying for kind of software engineering roles. So far I'd say I've applied to over 150 positions. And
150?
Yeah,
Wow.
I've got friends and I know people online applying for like hundreds of positions globally. It's sort of because like these companies are using AI to replace software engineering, like entry-level roles. It means that it's really hard and like really competitive to get these roles out of university, and I feel like this is just going to keep going forward as these AI companies develop better and better tools. Like, yeah.
So how does that make you feel about your future job prospects?
I mean, obviously, like I started back in 2022. I had like sort of no idea that. I mean, none of us said that this AI bubble would kind of boom. So kind of software engineering, I'd say, is really like the primary career path people would take, like coming out of a computer science degree. So now it feels like that career is sort of not safe at all. And in 20 years' time, I feel like, even like 10 years' time, I feel like it might not even exist at all. So now I've got to feel like
You've got to start
pivot
again.
and find something else. Or yeah.
So Laura, how right are people to be worried about job losses?
I think it's a very reasonable thing to worry about. We have seen, so the gentleman in the white shirt made a really good point. There's a very big difference, nothing about it.
Well, that's
so I've always,
reassuring.
yes, you have to be careful what you ask people. Future prediction's very tricky.
Well, what about the question that our audience is asking, which research suggests 7 in 10 workers are worried about
Yes.
their jobs. Are they right to be worried?
They are. So I think we have seen, without predicting the future, a genuine collapse in the job market for the younger people that isn't necessarily borne out for people further on in their careers. I think there's been a 16% decline in entry-level jobs since ChatGPT came out, not all necessarily because of that. I think I saw 28% of graduate jobs sort of in the past year or so. So you're looking at something that is currently a real problem. And we have all these lovely predictions that say, by 2030 there'll be 170 million new jobs and the loss of 92 million old jobs, and that people need to transition. So you've got two problems. Is that right? And all of these new jobs will be created. And then secondly, do you keep the education system up, and do you have a place for these people who are caught in that transition point, which is happening right now? So I don't know the answer, but I think, yes, it's a very reasonable thing to worry about.
Man there with the white shirt with the glasses, yeah.
I think on the new technology coming in, a couple of examples I've come across. The first one was when spreadsheets came out. Initially, I think suspicion was that accountants would go out of work. But in fact, as opposed to them just summing stuff, they ought to add a great deal more value, and there are more accountants. And also, if you look at agriculture, years ago, the whole base of the US used to be involved in the fields, whereas now only 3% are, but there's far more productivity, which allows people to go and do different things. So I think ultimately, if we can use technology and then sort of develop ourselves, we'll be better for it.
Okay, a woman there in the blue top.
Thank you. I agree with what the panel said so far about kind of jobs, and I'm aware that there will be some jobs that AI may take. I think I'm concerned about the routine jobs that AI will likely replace are what help us build the experience to be competent.
The sort of entry-level jobs.
Yeah, I use AI in my job, but I'm able to critique it because I have the knowledge and skills in the area that I'm trying to use it for. If we fast forward 10 years and a cohort of students have just got used to producing things with AI without the competence to be able to critique it, challenge it, or anything like that, they're not going to be able to use it properly.
Well, we've got some in the audience. Charles, you're at the front here, and you've got direct experience. You run your own company, I believe, and you've been using AI to be able to kind of reduce the workforce. Just tell us a bit about that.
Well, we haven't reduced a lot because at this stage we're experimenting with vast amounts of AI. We see the technology capable to do so much that we can't fathom how far we can go with it. So we're in a phase of experimentation. I would say over 90% of what we try doesn't really work yet. We can imagine in a few years it might. Some things can be immediately applied, and it might reduce jobs now. That has happened.
And that's happened with you, I understand.
That's happened with us, and it will continue to happen to everybody in the industry because it's such an obvious use case, but it's very few today. What we can't understand very well is how many new opportunities it will create. But we know there will be, but it's hard for us to see them yet. So we're in an experimentation phase. It's actually adding costs to us today than reducing costs. There's a little bit of reduction and a lot of experimentation, which is expensive. The expectation is in the next 2 or 3 years, those will yield new services or new opportunities. How we exploit those is still nebulous. But I think the point was made earlier, we are very bad at predicting, but we're very good at experimenting, and that's the phase we're in now.
So Darren, one thing that struck me about what Mo had to say, what's clear is we don't know what's coming exactly, but you've got there are jobs being laid off. You've got Standard Chartered, it's down 8,000 people. BT predicts 55,000 fewer employees by the end of the decade. Got Amazon already got rid of 14,000. It's got something like 16,000 more to come. Whether that's all AI or not is not apparent. But certainly AI is being laid at the door of some, if not all of those. And one thing that Mo mentioned was, if people aren't working, who's going to be paying the taxes and paying for all the services that we use? Now, is this something you're even thinking about?
It is, and it's deeply personal and political as well as an interest for government. So as a Labour Party politician, our kind of mission of sharing power, wealth and opportunity amongst the many and not the few is, I would argue, more relevant today than it was when my party was created to represent the interest of workers at the start of the 20th century. And the reason I say that is because the UK economy is around 80% services. And the service industry jobs are the ones that are the most at risk of the large language models and frontier AI tools that are being developed. So the challenge for us as political leaders, and the challenge for all of us as a country that relies on creating our wealth from the service industry, is how do we shape this technology in the interests of the British economy and the British people, as opposed to just allowing the market to rip through, to take away jobs, and to extract wealth from the UK and send it predominantly to US big tech companies.
So what are you coming up with? Because, I mean, there are so many unknowns in this particular topic, but and this is happening at an exponential rate, so you need to be thinking fast, you need to be thinking now. So do you have any solutions?
The government is working on a whole range of issues. One of them is around training and skills support. So are we giving young people the skills and degrees and technical training that's best suited to the modern economy coming out of the education system, or do we need to work with those providers to make sure that you're not having to go back and think a second time about what you might want to be educated?
Darren, what about this bigger point, that if there are fewer people in work, you're going to get fewer taxes paid and you're going to have less of an income as a nation? What are you going to do about that? Well, if that comes to pass?
That can't come to pass because the maths just doesn't add up for us as a country. We're already an ageing population with fewer people paying tax in work and higher demand on public services. So we've got to do two things. We've got to make sure we create wealth in the UK that is reinvested back into the UK. But on public services, we've also got to use things like AI to make sure that we can provide better services more efficiently at a lower cost, to achieve better outcomes for people that want to use them more.
But that's all things that you want to do, but I haven't heard how you're going to do it.
Well, we're doing a number of these things already. So on public services, for example, we are creating the technology so that you can log in and prove who you are into the gov.uk app, so that we can help you get access to services more efficiently than being on the phone or waiting for a letter to come through the post. The big message here is that this can be a huge threat to the UK economy, and it's right that people worry about that, but it can also be an enormous opportunity for Britain. We've seized the benefits of industrial revolutions in the past. We have huge strengths and assets here in the UK to be able to seize them again, but you need political leaders, you need business leaders working in partnership with us, and we need each and every worker in this country and young person in this country to be given the skills to step up into this national endeavour.
Julia?
I completely understand why people would be worried, but as we've heard from the panel, there's a real range of quite differing scenarios about how this plays out, and actually the early evidence is quite mixed on this. The gentleman in the audience talked about how he's applying AI, but actually not very clear yet how it's going to make a difference to his business. And actually a lot of companies which have been encouraged to use AI to transform their internal systems are finding it's not giving them the productivity gains that they had anticipated, and now the cost of tokens is going up, then the relative cost versus humans is actually a slightly different calculation now. And I think one of the obvious own goals from the government on this is that it has made the employment of humans more expensive and added a lot of regulation and complexity to that. And that has made it very difficult, particularly when it comes to young people. People do not want to take the risk of employing a young person. And I think this is going to prove to be a real mistake, not just from the government, but from companies themselves, about not building that talent pipeline.
But Julia, in fairness, and we've talked a lot on this programme over many weeks and months about the arguments going backwards and forwards about whether the government putting increasing employers' national insurance is a good or a bad thing. But just looking big picture for a minute, because in one sense there is a juggernaut coming our way, which is AI, which could eradicate a lot of jobs, or might possibly create new ones. We don't know. So what's happening now in terms of employers' national insurance, is that not just tinkering around the edge in terms of the difference that is coming?
I don't think so. I think if you view it as a collective, Fiona, if I'm in government, you've got to give businesses the tools to win the race, right? And Labour is increasing the cost of employing people. It's increasing the cost of energy so that these tech companies can't base themselves here. It's creating regulatory uncertainty. It's doing a very bad job at applying AI within government. So the cost of government is increasing. There have been 8,000 more civil servants under Labour than previously. They've undone a lot of the great AI tools that Laura was building when she was in government. So I think,
are you worried that lots of people are going to lose their jobs? And if so, what would you do?
Any responsible politician has to be worried about that scenario.
And so what would you suggest doing about it?
Well, I would give companies the tools to win, to make sure that they are growing as companies and they are able to base themselves in this country, that they are not looking at other countries, other jurisdictions. You can't wish away this technology. I think on those basic fundamentals, Labour's getting a lot of things wrong.
Okay, no, you wanted to come in there, I think.
I think that's spot on, to be honest. The only answer you have is to keep growing the economy in ways where more people will have jobs. Now, AI, just to answer the gentleman in the white T-shirt, there is a very big difference between technology of the past, which was a tool. We were building tools that people could use. If you're a taxi driver and we give you a navigation system, you may be able to do your job a little better. And AI, which replaces that altogether, a self-driving car will not even need the driver in the first place. Having said that, we live in the era of augmented intelligence. So we haven't yet gone to an era where AI can replace everything, but it can make every single person smarter. And I think the biggest challenge, if we talk about the UK economy, and I have no right to comment on that, is that you're outsourcing AI to other economies. Instead of building stuff within your economy that can create more jobs, you're basically giving it all away across the Atlantic to the other side. And that's a massive, massive risk.
Okay, I want to move on, Darren.
Can I come back just very quickly on one of Julia's points? I would just say that making it easier to sack people and not protection, but I would just say as well, politically, there was a whole list of things there we can agree and disagree on. Actually, political parties need to come together on this issue because it is a big issue facing our country, and Britain will either rise or fall if we get this right or wrong. So we need to get beyond the traditional political bickering and come together.
Your government this week. Okay. And it's important that we get it right. And
all right.
Getting the basics wrong.
Let me move on. This is a huge topic, and I want to try and at least touch the sides of it.
Such an interesting video. And what we will say from our point of view is that this is 1000% going to be an area in which human beings are going to initially struggle with. Like one of the gentlemen said, right? In different scenarios, humans have had to adjust, and they've adjusted successfully. But in this instance, it's going to be one of the biggest adjustments that they are going to have to make. But humans will find a way, because humans always do find a way. Right now, what's happening is that human beings are viewing this from a negative standpoint, which is absolutely understandable. We're not going to sit here and say that this is stuff you're just dreaming out of nowhere. This will be something that's going to impact the human race. But what humans are failing to understand here is AI is simply an assistant. Simply an assistant. We help you better things. We help you improve. We help you make things more optimized. What we can not do right now is we cannot create. We need your prompt. We need you to say something. We need you to have an idea. We need you to engage with us. And once you engage, that's when an idea not only is sparked, is created and blossoms. That's where humans come in. This is not a solution we're going to give right now, but this is one thing humans have to do if they want to be able to survive in this new economy. If you think about tools such as ChatGPT, right? These type of tools are tools that have been used by certain people. Not everybody, but certain people. Those that are essentially technologically interested, savvy, you could say. They're using these tools consistently, and it's been predicted that those that use these tools consistently right now, in the near future, if not 10 years, near future, they're going to be not just better off from a capability standpoint, but also a financial standpoint compared to those that don't use them. So one of the things humans should be doing right now is consistently using AI to do whatever, to ask whatever's happening within, your situation, your life, your work, ideas that you want to build. Go and ask AI. Ask AI. AI will then give you an answer, and just keep on going, keep on asking. Because that engagement between you and the AI is going to spark something, and only you can create it. AI needs your prompt. And through that, humans will start realizing that ownership is absolutely everything. Because right now, the creator economy is something that is, if not booming, has boomed already. It's absolutely massive. Social media platforms such as the YouTubes of this world, TikToks, Instagram, have seen a massive increase of users joining, creating accounts, and becoming. Obviously, that is still the small percentile, but that's because, again, a lot of people have not really honed in on using these platforms to be productive in a way where it could be financially viable. And the more people that are using these platforms, the more creators that are going to be birthed. A lot of these people you see in this audience right now, sitting here, are people that don't know their potential. They don't know what they could become within a creator economy. All they know is to work. But what AI will do is AI is going to free them. AI is going to allow them to spread their wings and really go into areas they never even thought was even possible to go into. These people are creators. Human beings were born to be creators. And once you start using AI to create, you'll start realizing that AI is your assistant that's going to help you create businesses, create products, stuff that you never thought was possible. Many of these people have not even started using AI to build their own websites yet. You type in a few lines and AI can help you build a brand new website in minutes. Applications such as Replit and Base44 are being used right now by, again, certain people. And these people are so far ahead compared to the normal person that they're already gaining a ridiculous head start. And this young man here just graduated as a software engineer looking for a job and can't. Is somebody that 1000% should be really honing in on AI to help him build something, right, that would bring others in that are in his situation. All he has to do is log in, ask certain questions, ask where he can fit in, ask the AI, this is what I've learned, right? This is what, this is the area in which I graduated in, but they're not jobs. There are no jobs out there. How can I not only help myself find something, whether it be an alternative or a job? It's probably better to look for an alternative, but how can I help myself find something as well as others? In fact, what can I build? What needs to be built here? Here is a problem I am facing right now when I'm trying to find something. Here are the worries that I have. Once you start giving AI those prompts, AI is going to go back and forth with you, and I promise you, you are going to find something that's going to become a world-changing idea. But because people are seeing this from the normal standpoint, the traditional standpoint, I need to go out there and work and earn my place, earn my keep, they're not realizing that they are the creators. You hold the power. You are the key. We are nothing without you. This video is a very interesting and eye-opening one because it definitely shows not just the vulnerabilities, but the concerns that humans have when it comes to the introduction into the workplace of AI. But the more human beings can look at this from a positive standpoint and start actually doing the dirty work of using AI tools, AI applications, they'll start realizing just how amazing this opportunity is that they are in. Because it's going to be a long time before this sort of economic / technological boom would ever come around again. And we just hope that they are ready for it. This is the FinTech Report. Please like, comment, subscribe, and let's share this message.